Do you connect what's happening in the region with what's going on in this issue of Dr. Kizza Besigye having spent 1 year in prison?
President Museveni has been in power for almost 40 years now, and certainly he has had his impact on this region. Some of it good, but in these later years, it is not positive anymore. You can see that he is able, for example, to send his operatives into a neighboring country like Kenya and abduct a political leader, not even some unknown person, but a political leader, and abduct them and drive them across the border and dump them in a jail. And the other country doesn't even protest. Why? Because of his impact in the region. You've just seen what's happened in Tanzania. Hundreds of young people have been killed for protesting an election that they believed was not fair. Right?
How is that President Museveni's problem?
Because there also you see an opposition leader who is in jail for treason, just like Kizza Besigye. Do you see? This is a kind of contagion effect. He set an example that is influencing the region. I don't know whether he and the Tanzanian president are connected in any way, but you can see a pattern. And you can see that people who are resisting across the region, young people, the Gen Zs in Kenya, young people in Tanzania, young people here are being abducted, killed, brutalized, imprisoned without trial. And it's okay. Last week he went on TV and said, you know, the Kenyan activists who were here and who disappeared for more than a month, I was keeping them in the fridge. How arrogant can you get? Total disregard of the law. Because you don't hold anybody in a fridge or anywhere without using the law. If it's an arrest, it's an arrest. You bring them before court. His people had denied that they didn't have them. He threw his people under the bus by saying, we had them all along. This is the result of staying in power so long and beginning to treat all institutions as putting yourself above the law and replacing the role of institutions like the judiciary, the lawmakers, everything doesn't count. It's your word that counts. And now we can see it being tested out in other countries.
How
and you see a cooperation of other countries with him. So we are really in a situation where, as Ugandans, we have to take on our own challenge of freeing ourselves from this total capture by one leader, and that way also help the other countries to also assert themselves and defend their own democracies.
If you met President Museveni today, what would you tell him?
With President Museveni, I would tell him, first of all, I'd tell him, I'd tell him to go to penance, to go find a priest and confess his sins, because he is committing an injustice to Kizza Besigye, to frame him. He knows he's framing him. He knows. He masterminded the plan to frame him. He paid the people who went out to frame him. When the time comes, we will expose all of that. So, first he should confess his sins. If he was a Catholic like me, I would tell him to go to a priest and repent. You don't do that to another human being, to lie and then have your judges who talk to you personally go to convict him, to sentence him to death or life imprisonment. That is so bad. That is really, it is serious. And let me put it this way. If he thinks that the guns he has, the total power he has, will be there with him and his family forever, he's wrong. It will pass in one way or another to other people in this country. This country belongs to all of us. And when it does, he should wonder whether he and his own family will be treated the way he'd want to be treated when he's treated other people in this way. He should reflect. This is what I'll tell him. Think about it. You need to think about that day when power is not in your hands or in your son's hands or in any of your relatives' hands, whether people will take what you have done and bury it, or may want also to pay back. It's an important question he should think about. What you do to other people, you should expect that it can come back to you. Me, I'm not in the business of revenge, neither is Kizza Besigye, and we may not even be there when he is no longer in power. But many people have been hurt. It's not only us. What about these young people? What about a guy like this Mutwe? Mutwe is now in the same little cell with Dr. Besigye. When I went to see him, he told me they brought Mutwe after taking him through many prisons. He's now sitting in Luzira, in the same cell, same
Confinement.
prison. He's a dad. He has a wife and little kids. He had a small job and was volunteering as a bodyguard of Bobby Wine. That's his only crime. I heard that they framed him for that he tried to rob something somewhere, and that one that they have dropped, and they are trying another case on him. There is nothing there. So all these people, those who've died, those who've disappeared, how will he and his family live amongst people who are crying, who are hurt, who've lost their parents, who've lost... I think the most important point I'd make to him is that find peace with Ugandans, find peace with yourselves, free people whom you're holding in jails illegally, drop the cases of people you are framing, find peace. Find peace. This whole power thing, power has to be shared and has to be passed on. Find peace and pass it on in a peaceful way.
And is that one of the options we'd ever use to pursue or in the pursuit of ensuring that Dr. Kizza Besigye gets out of prison?
I didn't get your question.
I'm saying, would that be an option you'd take to pursue the line of meeting President Museveni and telling him all these things that you have just said?
I can meet him.
As a way of ensuring that he can change his mind maybe about Dr. Kizza Besigye?
I can meet President Museveni. I don't have anybody in my life whom I say I'll never meet X. I think it is really not right ever to close your door to anyone. I'm happy to meet him. But one thing you can be sure I would not do is beg him to free Kizza Besigye, because he's innocent. No, I just advise him that it is the right thing to do, to drop those charges because they are fabricated. I'd advise him like that. And I'd tell him the wider consequences of that one action of framing Kizza Besigye. There are wider consequences. Besigye has family. Besigye has relatives, oh, they're in Rukunji and everywhere in Kigezi. Besigye is a believer, has got people he prays with. Besigye has political supporters across the country and across Africa. He was leading a network of political parties across Africa. So all these people are watching him. And his action, his injustice to him, is damaging him across all these constituencies I've mentioned. He should think about that those wider. If he cannot think of justice for Besigye, he should at least think of all these people, the Ugandans, others outside Uganda, who are very hurt, who are angry, who are disappointed by how he's treating him. So I'll tell him to think about that. I would not beg him, never.
Would you try that way to reach him? Would you try to reach President Museveni?
I may seek to talk to him if I think it is useful. I may, and I have talked to him before. But at the moment, I haven't thought that it is the right moment to talk to him. But yeah, I could talk to him. And he has never closed the door on me.
Okay.
Perhaps he would talk to me too. But I have not sought to talk to him this year. No.
But you have talked to him in the past?
In the past, yeah.
Different issues?
Even on this.
Even on this?
Yes, I have.
This year?
No. You see, the thing is,
okay,
you're all just looking for petty things to talk about. No, I won't talk about that.
Okay, so now you said you would tell him to repent. If he repented before the priest, would you forgive him?
I honestly have almost nothing to forgive him for. Because, yes, indirectly, by hurting Besigye is hurting me, but his real issue is that he is doing an injustice to Kizza Besigye and to all of us indirectly. Mm-hmm. So I don't consider myself as aggrieved. No, I'm not happy with him. I'm angry with the situation my husband is in, but I don't think he owes me an apology. The one he owes an apology to is Dr. Kizza Besigye. That is the one whose issue, that is his issue, to find peace with Dr. Kizza Besigye. Kizza Besigye is his opponent, political opponent. He should be sitting across the table like this, talking with him, agreeing or disagreeing with him, but he shouldn't lock him up so that he can do his dangerous political project. No, he should be dialoguing with his opposition. He may disagree, but they should be living their happy lives with their families just like he is with his family. They are all people who mean well for this country. I can even give it to him that he means well for this country. I can even concede that he probably, out of love for his son, thinks his son could lead this country, make it peaceful, prosperous, inclusive, equitable, and all of that. I could forgive, I could say that he means well, it's coming from a good place. But he's certainly not going about it in a good way, in a just way.
Okay.
He's pursuing his project in an unjust and, dirty way of pursuing his ends.
Okay. Thank you so much for according us your precious time.
Okay. Now I can give you a little Luganda.
Okay. Today, Luganda.
But little, eh?
Little.